Great. And maybe you can move to slide number 1 or slide number 2. And then Mr. Mansour, since you're here on time, if you have any questions, we can begin by addressing any of your questions. How is it going with the Changemaker playbook? Did you have questions about that? And then I think that Theo could put up the playbook if you actually have any questions about that one too. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
Yes.
I have some difficulty to work in the playbook.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's put up the playbook. Maybe Theo can put it up and you can ask your questions directly while we're looking at the pages. Theo, is it possible for you to also put up the playbook?
I will start the playbook.
Okay. You could probably just minimize this one and then.
Yes, I
good. Super. Okay. So that we can find out where your questions are.
Yes,
so
I ask for if all of to complete information ou je veux dire est-ce qu'on va compléter l'ensemble du livre?
You have to do the whole book? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole book is there just to kind of guide your thinking. So, you know, if you feel that after certain pages help you gather your thoughts better, then you could skip some pages and kind of work on the ones that you feel deal more directly with what it is that your project is involved in. We made it bigger, you know, more robust, more pages, so that you could kind of follow your own train of thought, you know, so it would kind of guide you step by step. But if you find that, you know, as you're flipping through the pages, you know, you could just flip
yes.
through the pages, and you find that, oh, this page is really good for my project, right? Then you could go ahead and create any combination of pages. That way it becomes your own, you know, it becomes a unique document for you and your project, okay? So we gave it very complete so that you could do it in one of two ways. You either do the whole thing, or you go through and you create which pages address your project best, and then just focus on those. So it's kind of like, you know, hopscotch, right? So it's almost like you can kind of hop through it and say, oh, I think these pages really address my project. So my presentation is going to be based on these pages. You see what I'm trying to say? So you can create your own combination. It allows you to create your own book by deciding which pages are best for you. Does that make sense?
Do you want me to move on the slides or?
You can if you want. I just wanted to know if he understood what I was saying, like that he can jump around, and then by jumping around and choosing pages, you're creating your own. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, one way to look at it is, of course, you know, page 1 through, 90, but then the other way to look at it is to say, okay, for my project, I wanted to work on page 4, 8, 9, 10, and then I wanted to jump to page 20, 21, 30, 32, 34, you know, that kind of a thing. So that then you're making it your own story about your own project. Does that make sense, Mr. Mansour?
Yes, I ask. I if it's possible to choose a, a project one page to and to do the presentation.
Yes, of course, you can choose which pages would help you talk about your presentation the best. Okay.
Ah,
So,
yes,
at,
yes,
yeah,
yes. I think that we work to all the playbook.
no, but you don't have to, like just choose which ones are better for your
Ah,
project.
I understand now. I understand now.
Okay. So here we're giving you a complete picture, right? So this is like a big global picture, but maybe some of this
Yes,
isn't at the moment as important as other things,
yes,
So like maybe for your project, job responsibilities is more important than say, transformation or something like that. So you can decide which pages are address your project the best. And then you can make your presentation out of those pages. So maybe you could choose 10 pages or you could choose, 15 pages or 12 pages or 20 pages, right? So you can make it any combination that best addresses your project, right? So like this one was the one that I had put up in WhatsApp for like a 2-minute presentation. So it might be something that could help as an introduction, like how is your project unique, like this one. This is always a good way to begin. What is my project about? What are other projects similar to mine, but why is mine different? Why is mine important at this moment, at this time, with this group of people, right? So that's something unique to you, to your project, okay? But there might be other things, that are interesting, okay? So the point is to make it your own. That's why it's called a playbook, so that you can create which pages address your project specifically, right?
yes, yes.
It's like
I
a
understand
learning
now.
curve. Mhm.
I understand
Okay.
now. In the choice one pages in a project and to do a presentation with a project.
Yeah. And so it's a way, and later on, as the project becomes more advanced, like
Yes,
later on when you get to maybe go to Bulgaria, then you want to maybe grab this playbook again and on your own address some other pages so that you have that fresh in your
yes,
mind before you arrive to Bulgaria to meet with other colleagues in Bulgaria, the European counterparts. So it's
yes,
intended to
yes,
also take you throughout the entire process from, the beginning until the end.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. I understand. I understand.
Okay, cool.
I try. I work to the presentation.
Right. Yeah.
And
So you,
if I have difficulty, I ask you to help me.
sure, you can always send a text message on WhatsApp and I could always, call you
Ye-
right there and answer any questions before the presentation time. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes,
You
yes,
like for example, this thing about documentation, you probably don't need the documentation until you get to go to Bulgaria and you maybe want to show people some paperwork about your project. You know what I mean? But for the purposes of your mini presentation on the 17th and the 18th, you don't need to work on this just yet. But maybe you have something that you want to show and you want to kind of like show it to ask questions and get feedback. That kind of a thing. So this is like a much more of like a super complete idea, but it can be created in the mini books depending on which pages you address, right? So, and then each person can choose which pages to address, and that makes it a unique document for each one of you, as unique as your project is. Yeah. Because there'll be different combinations of pages.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good, okay. And then I saw that somebody else signed in just now. Did you have any questions on the playbook while we're looking at this?
And you can always translate a little bit. You can try even to translate some of the definitions or some of the words. This is gonna improve your level of English as well.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the good thing about this is that you can in that space, you can draw a picture, you can write in French, you could write in English, you know, so that it kind of helps you grow your presentation, right? So sometimes you could just draw a little picture of something, of an idea that you have in your head, or sometimes you need to write a few words in French and then think about how you would say it in English, you see? So this empty space that's on every page is meant to be like a workbook. Yeah. See?
Yeah, you
Because
can
each one
continue,
of your
Libyan.
projects is unique.
Hey, deeply sorry to be late.
Oh, no problem. Hello, Miss Hani. How are you? We were just addressing some quick questions about the playbook. Did you have any?
Not again.
Good, good, okay.
We saw your presentation. It was wonderful.
About
the
the
presentation.
video.
Yeah.
Yes, the video and the presentation, wonderful to your programs.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're on your way. Do you feel good about it?
Thanks a lot.
Good, good.
I'm just trying to prepare it. But that's a campaign and we need more help, technical support, financial support. We are waiting.
Right. Well, and that's the kind of area there that Mr. Theo can maybe give you lots of ideas on the fundraising and things.
Of course, why not?
Mm-hmm.
We are even planning to build the entire platform with Mr. Sar and to talk about this, how we can support the fundraising of projects in Senegal and in the area.
Okay, why not?
Okay. Good. Okay. So any other questions so far about that? So now we'll just move on to the module 10, which is our last module in this series. And then if between now and then you have any other questions, you could contact me on the WhatsApp, you know, and then I'm happy to, if I'm around and I'm available, I'll even offer to do a little office hour on the phone with WhatsApp, or I could just text you answers to your questions, or we can talk on WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And do those
So
dates
just
for everybody, the 17th and the 18th? I know people were looking at their schedules.
me, I think 18th it will be good.
Okay, good.
Have just added something very important about the teams, but after that I will concentrate about the playbook or the videos.
Right, okay, good. And the other two folks that have joined us, Mr. Mansour, is that good date for you on the 17th?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I was asking the other two gentlemen if they could join.
And the final
If
presentation.
there were,
Yeah.
about the presentations, boy, we have any boy in the team, but the problem they are how to say it again. I don't know
Okay.
if complexity to be faced on the TV. That's why they.
Yes, indeed,
That's
indeed.
it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll begin now with module 10. Let's see, and you can switch to the next slide, Theo. And this one is about delegative leadership. So obviously, as your program it gets more expansive and complete, you're going to start delegating things, right? So what is the aspect of delegation as a form of leadership, right? And I'm sure you all saw the little video that I put up in WhatsApp where they were talking about how in Apple, everybody is their own little area. So they treat it like a startup. It was just a 2-minute video, but I thought that was interesting based on what we were going to discuss today. So the secret of success in life is for a person to be ready for opportunity when it comes. So, what does that mean? Ready for opportunity when it comes. So kind of like opening the space so that you're ready. You have something prepared, ready, so that when somebody comes at you, you're able to respond right away and say, yes, here we are. This is what I'm working on. I would really like to work with you. I would like to network with you. I would like to collaborate with you because you have something to offer them that's strong and different. And I think that all of you throughout these sessions have basically said that that's the situation that you're in, which is great. So you're all in a pivotal moment that allows you to open doors for opportunities to come. Okay.
Okay.
And the next one, Phil. Right. So in this case, taking a look at total quality management and how you would maybe use those total quality management aspects that Deming talked about, but adjust them to yourself, adjust them to your own situation, right? So taking a look at what is quality management of a staff, but how do you adjust it to the cultural issues of Senegal? How do you adjust it to your project, right? Because it might be different if you're dealing with a technology platform or you're dealing with, an agricultural issue, or you're dealing with creating little stands for people all over Africa, like our other colleague was doing, or you're talking about an IT program at the university. So all of these things would need to be addressed in terms of adapting what is considered total quality. So adapt it to your situation, make it your own. And then in this article that we have on our website, you can see how we adapted it to education. So delegative management is a way of achieving certain amounts of success, but that also would be a cultural adaptation, right? So as you can see here, it requires like your intention, your focus, support, any new work, any new feedbacks, so why are you doing this? What variables need to be considered? What results do you want? Well, existing tools and resources work, right? Maybe you have everything you need, maybe you don't, right? We need to develop new standards or procedures to satisfy this new project, right? Maybe your project is so innovative that you need to develop new standards, new procedures, a new mindset, a new way of thinking, because your projects are so innovative. Okay, those things you have to consider, right? Who's involved? What are the expectations? What are possible obstacles, and how are you going to overcome them? So, think for a moment now of your own projects. Does this apply to your own projects? Did you have to create something new? How you work is a new way of working, or a new way of thinking, or a new way of addressing an old problem. So does this apply to any of your projects?
So
In order to be easy for you, you can also check the chat. You can check the chat. I'm sending messages in the chat with the
about
question.
the programs that I signed on WhatsApp, you talking about that? Oh,
No,
I don't
your
know.
programs, your programs.
About the
So the one that
programs.
you're working on, your project. So does your
Okay.
project require a new way of thinking? Does it require a new process?
Okay.
Does it require a new state of mind? Right? So all of you described your projects in the beginning of this series, and everyone seemed to have a very innovative project. And we talked about innovation in terms of people, philosophy, process, and product, right?
Okay.
But when you're also in the middle of an innovation, does that innovation require a new way of working? You see, so it's almost like as you're building your team, you also have to train your team or illuminate your team into a new way of being, a new way of bringing their intention to the work, or a new way of bringing their focus to the work, a new way of supporting them so they can support the new project. You see what I'm trying to say? So have you found that to be true with your projects? Did you have to create a new process or a new way of working?
Of course, about my own projects, I have already tried about the process, the financial process, the marketing process, I can say, and the procedure. I have already done it. I have the presentations of Xmind, not PowerPoint, but Xmind. That's the logicians that I use about my projects.
Right. So there you go. You had to even use a new way of presenting your information. See? So that's perfect example, Ms. Hani. Thank you for that, because that's exactly what we're saying, is that sometimes when you're inside a new innovative program or a new project, the old ways of talking about your project are no longer helpful, right? You beyond that. You're going beyond that in order to get a desired performance that supports your project. You see, it's almost like you can't continue to use a typewriter, right? So besides the typewriter, then you had to use a different kind of computer, and then now you could even just do it with your smartphone, right? So there's this evolution as technology has evolved, even just to do everyday things, right?
Okay. Okay.
So thinking about that. So think about it in those, like these circles here. How do you get feedback? In a new job or a new task or new work, how do you get support? How do you get focus? How do you get the intention, right, that you're going to succeed at this new project?
Okay.
All right, so then Theo, the next one.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Livian.
Hello.
Yes.
I am Modumbai.
Yes, hi there. How are you doing? Welcome.
I'm fine. And you?
Good.
My project is renovate ferme in quality.
Right. Well, there you go. This one's just for you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The ferme in quality. I would develop it for many innovation of the management quality.
Right. Yeah. So this is perfect for what you're working on, right?
For example, in Senegal, many enterprises have not quality responsible.
Right.
because I will develop it, the management quality with social.
Right, so you have to make them aware of it because they're not using any of this, right?
Yeah, yes.
So
In
how
the-
are you letting people know that what you're available to help them?
Yeah. The more time I will develop a renewed farm in Senegal.
Right, so that you can make them aware that you can help them improve and implement, quality management.
The innovation of the practice in the pedagogy.
Sure, yeah, exactly. And that was like the pure form of quality management. So what we're saying here is that there might be some adaptations that have to be made to Senegal and to the conditions of work present there, right? Because it's almost like going from 0 to 100 miles an hour, right? So if in their point they haven't used it at all, they're not even aware of it, you probably want to, bring in some intermediary benchmark or intermediary steps that make it user friendly. So like in this case that we're saying about these dozen human interventions, like action steps for change management. So maybe you could bring in the coaching element, right? Or maybe you can bring in some kind of incentives or rewards. Like if you come to take our program on innovative quality management, we'll send you a mentor to your company to help you. Maybe there needs to be some cultural changes in the corporate culture because of the environmental culture, right? Maybe there needs to be some documentation. You could see what they're doing with their paperwork, keeping track of their progress. Maybe you need to align their work to this new way of thinking, or maybe there could be some communication pieces, like you could send them text messages on WhatsApp once a week or once every other day, or send them an email once a week so that they can gradually learn more and more about quality in their workplace, right? And then confirm, like some confirmation, like, are they seeing any difference? Is it better, right? And then maybe you just have to define.
Lilian,
Yes.
I asked to the presentation is in the form of video or text.
It could be whatever you want it to be. It could even be you just doing it for us on the camera, like right now, like this. Or you could send it to us in a video, or you could send it to us in writing. That's the good part about the Changemaker playbook is that it could be in any format. Okay, in the format that you think best allows you to express yourself, and that best allows you to express what your process is with your project. Okay.
Yes.
So, so any of these kind of action steps help change the work environment. So it's kind of like engineering a new work environment. So each one of your projects allows you to bring in a brand new work environment for Senegal, right? So all 12 of you have a unique value proposition that is different, new, fresh, and that will be stimulating and bring prosperity to the people that you're serving with your project in Senegal and or in the neighboring countries. All right, you want to move to the next one, Theo? Right, so this is what we're saying about building these internal change agents. Maybe you need to have job aids or tools or resources. You know, like our colleague just said, you can maybe write it, right? Maybe you can write some documentation that you can send people in an email once a week. You know, maybe you could have some internal training to shift the way they think, right? Or you can have some team building activities, or something interesting with your staff, like maybe in the morning, once a week, you could have a staff meeting. You know, that's a new, different meeting where you can present something new and different. Maybe you can support their performance, like if they've done a job well done, like they were able to network with somebody and bring somebody else into the project, you would have some kind of support. Maybe there could be something about wellness for their health, you know, so that their health can improve, you know, that kind of so you could have like a wellness week, you know, like you could have something, you know, like a fun Friday, and then on Fridays they could all bring in, you know, a snack, and you could all have like a little eating break together just to brainstorm about things, like it would be informal. So think about also how to build the internal change agents. So you're a change agent for Senegal with your project, but how's about the people that work with you? So the people that work with you, how you can build them to become change agents as well. So like a cascade, you're the change agent. Other people that work with you can also become change agents. See what I mean? So it becomes an exponent, like in mathematics, right? It becomes an exponent. 2 to the second power, or 3 to the third power, or 4 to the fourth power. How does that factor increase the ability for building internal capacity in Senegal? So job aids or tools or resources. Right, this one, Theo. Right, so activating innovative thinking, right? So one of the ways of activating innovative thinking is just like we're doing with the playbook. You can do the same thing by asking your colleagues that are working with you on this project, you know, what do you dream of? You know, that might be the subject for one meeting. What do you want to act on? What do you see is something that we need to act on? We need to do something about it, right? What are you searching for? Do you need certain information? Do you know, what's the search about? What do you want to share? So like right here, we got about 10 different ideas. So that'd be good enough for like 10 weeks. You know what I mean? Like you could put one out there once a week and then discuss it with your colleagues when you have your weekly meeting, you know, like do a fun Friday and then bring in coffee or tea or a little food treat. Everybody brings something in from home and then you discuss these, you know, what do you want to, how do you want to take a risk, right? What is inspiring to you? What do you want to explore more of? What do you want us to think about that we haven't thought about yet? What do you want to ask? Are there questions you want to ask about this project that we haven't answered? How do you want to express change? Do you think that we should have, you know, a newspaper advertising, a video clip like Ms. Hani had, or do you want to join LinkedIn, or do you want to put a little advertisement in WhatsApp? Or do you want to reach out with just a flyer in the building of your university or college? you know, things like that. So activating innovative thinking. Okay, so these 10 items here are just the beginning, a little tip of the iceberg about how you can get the people that you're working with excited and engaged in your project. Get buy-in, okay, strategies of leading in action. So activating innovative thinking, you know, inspiring, exploring, thinking, asking, exchange, express change, you know, risk-taking. What do you want to experiment with? Newness. All of your projects are innovative. They're all new. So how do I work with something so new? Okay. Like even Ms. Hani said there, she didn't even use a regular PowerPoint. She used a different kind of technology for her presentation, right? Team pride. This will be important as you build your teams. How can you feed the team? Okay, so here we've given you 4 different ideas. So you can have a continuous improvement aspect of that team. You can address responsibility in your team. You can express employability. You know, like a lot of young millennials, as you saw that chart that we put into WhatsApp, they're thinking already about what's the next job. So how do we make sure that they stay with you, right? They're going to get something from you that they're not going to get anywhere else in Senegal. So it's smart if they stay with you, if they stay supporting your project, right? How do you build? These are just 4 different aspects for team pride. But again, these might be 4 different events. And then you could see that we even gave you the subcategories about what to do. So like if you have a team building day, you know, how do you choose to initiate an action? How do you decide according to the group goals? How do you help others with their work? How do you teach someone your job, you know, so that they can walk in your shoes, right? And they can see, oh my God, I'm sure glad they're, right? Because it's a lot of work, right? How do you replace somebody? They're irreplaceable, right? So you can demonstrate that in your team building event, and they will see that, yeah, they appreciate me, they respect me, I'm included in something super important for my country and something unique and something innovative. Okay, so these are just 4 ideas that you could use that will help you in 4 different groups. And then of course you need to consider, what are the gaps? Maybe there's a time gap, you don't have enough time for something, or they don't have enough time for something. Maybe there's a budget gap, you need to do certain fundraising. Maybe there's a competency gap, right? So in competency gaps, you can bring in some training or some change management. Quantity gap or a quality gap, like our colleague was just saying with quality management, or like what we're talking about here, workplace re-engineering, how you can improve the quantity and the quality of the work. Maybe it's a scheduling or a time gap. They just don't have enough time to work on what you've assigned them because they have 3 different part-time jobs. So in addition to building your team, you also want to keep in the back of your mind, where's the gap, so that you can help them supply the gap. And then you can, you know, because if you fill the gap, then that means they can move forward. But if you don't fill the gap, that's a pothole. That could become a mistake. That could become a problem. Later on, it could become a real big problem if you don't address it, right? So it's always good to keep that in the back of your mind so that you can address any gap before it happens. That's always going to allow for smooth sailing, okay? Have any of you seen any of this kind of stuff happening with your teams?
You talk to me about, I don't know.
Yeah, anybody. Yeah.
Okay. So we
I
have
don't think you, Miss Honey, you had even told us once about a time gap. Like you had said that you had a young lady working with you and you were
Of-
saying, look, I just depend on her to get it done because I wouldn't have the time to do what I'm doing as well as what she's doing. Remember that example you gave us?
okay, about the video,
Yeah.
we have two girls who take a part of the operational teams. One of them, she's a teacher. The others, she's our general secretary. But the problem is for the entrepreneurial commissions, I don't have again the stuff that I need.
Right. Okay. Mhm. Right. Exactly. So you're in your case, you need more of a more team. You know, you need more
Of course,
people to help you. Mhm.
of course. That's allow me to delegate some activities and why not?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
And
it.
in some cases, even when you have the team or even when you don't have the team, and we're starting to see this now after the pandemic, because the pandemic has taken away like a
Again,
veil, you know,
okay.
so what you can see the raw situation, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
That, that-
So
that's why since I can say 5 months, 6 months, we are trying online. We have just two presential meeting, but we are trying online for the team. We are trying online, but we have just focused not no more the pandemics, but as most of members uh, have their own jobs and they don't have enough time to assist the presential meeting. That's why we do it most of the time the weekend. That's not a problem for us. But if we have to go the why not? I don't know. If we have to go for one of our programs, we have to go on the cities. We have just focus about that. What kind of
yeah,
strategies that we will use
exactly.
instead of
That's
the
it.
pandemic. That's it.
Yes, that's exactly it. Because then you can shift the strategies and customize them, rather personalize them. You know, so it's almost like you're maneuvering them or manipulating them, right? So we all know that for anything innovative, you're going to have to deal with a knowledge economy, and especially with the use of technology, right? But what are those skills that they need? There are specific skills, right? These are them right here, the knowledge skills. They have to be able to have environmental support and feedback, equipment or tools, motivation, expectations, you know, like managing expectations, right? Daily performance or ability performances or the results, unique position of the project, right? Or data, information, or feedback. These are innovation skills as defined by the United Nations. So it's actually a skill. So as you're dealing with your new innovative project, you might be able to develop and fill those gaps with knowledge skills, okay? So that then you're actually growing the internal capacity of your team as well as growing the internal capacity of Senegal through the young people, you see? So I think that those are all things to look at, right? Ways to use your mission and your vision statement as an active strategy, right? So that's important. Not just that it's, you know, words on a paper, but like Ms. Hani just said, how to think and pick the strategy that's going to work the best with your vision and your mission statement, right? So keep tweaking that, keep massaging that to make it, you know, make it something that becomes a strategic performance goal. So like basic action steps that are driven by your values and what you believe in and the change that you want to see with your project, right? It's the reason why we're calling it a change maker is because you are change makers, right? You're very powerful change makers with a very even more powerful innovative project. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. I have just one question for Theodore. Mr. Theodore.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
I have just received a notice about Hello ASO. It is a fund, a platform who collaborate with any associations. I don't know if you know very well about these platforms, Hello ASO.
Did you send that, Theo?
Can you repeat
The platform, the platform name it Hello ASO. They collaborate with associations. They help them about the fundraising campaigns and the individual people who are.
We share the information.
Entrepreneurs.
I'm not contacting them directly, but we share the information, and we was working to find more resources for your projects, but not directly. Probably they receive the information from us.
Okay.
But this is not a message from myself directly.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, things for you to think about for next time. Next time we'll hear presentations a lot more from all of you, right? So thinking about your team and what are the needs of your team, and you know, like you were saying here with this last slide here about the timeliness and what are the and how those needs reflect to a metric or something that you can measure, right? So sufficiency or necessity or usefulness, speed, accuracy, all of those are things that you would be able to measure to see if you're on target, right? You would be able to see, yes, I'm on target. Yes, this is growing in the right direction. This is the right team at this moment, right? So how you're manifesting the future of your project, you know, by defining the scope, identifying those trends, what are the uncertainties, what's an initial scenario, and then what are the learning cycles of your team. These are all things to consider, and you've seen all of these items in your Playmaker book, but are just reminders as we approach the presentations that you're going to be, you know, doing next week. So in some cases, you're ready to address some of these, and in some cases, you want to talk about something else, and that's fine because that'll make your presentation very unique, you know, to you. So that'll be the key about making it as unique as possible so that we can better understand your project. Yeah. Right. So you're going to be introducing yourselves and your project, right? What's the mission, the vision? What's the structure? What are the processes? How are you going to deal with people? What are the core values of your project? How's it going to create change? How have you been preparing to create change, right? So you're kind of introducing us to the full gamut of your project. It's like a practice, because then once you're in Bulgaria, you're going to meet lots of people. You're just going to be chatting with them about your project at different levels. So this is a way for you to practice, you know, a mini presentation that goes a little bit deeper than what you were able to do, you know, when we began talking to each other a few months ago. Okay, so what are the emerging characteristics? What's the present strength? What's the future holding for your project? You know, think about it like that. What are you working on now that's really cool? And what do you want to work on that they can maybe help you with, right? As you get some people to support you and support your work. And you're all doing really wonderful things right now in the present, so talk about that present strength. You know, show them what you're doing that's working. And then what do you need some help with? You know what I mean? Where do you want to go with it? What is those emerging characteristics? All righty. Well, thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to mention, you know, text me on WhatsApp, and I'd be more than happy to answer anything that comes up for you between now and next week when you do your presentations. And as you can see, it's a unique presentation to you. You can do it right here on camera with us. You can write it out and send it to us. You can videotape it and send it to us, you know, whatever format that you want. Choose whatever combination of pages from the Playmaker book that you want to, you know, embark on or address, or talk about the whole thing. You know, this is your opportunity to get feedback, you know, before you start meeting some strangers. So it was a
Thank you very
delight.
much from my side as well. Thank you for the dedication and participation, and for your wonderful and amazing ideas that you shared.
Thanks.
Post applause for all of you.
Thanks a
Yay.
lot. See you.
All right, see you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, au revoir.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bonsoir.